Hey guys, this is John. Welcome back to the channel. You're looking at a stripped down bicycle man cave. This is the original bicycle man cave that I've had going for a couple years until I got the garage going. Looks pretty bare in here, but I do have a couple bikes and we're gonna go over one of them. Yeah, it's almost pretty sad here. If you take a look, we got some empty spots. Used to be bikes here. Used to be bikes in the big long window here. And yeah, it's pretty bare. And if you look over here, this is where I used to have the other bike showroom. And we now have a grandchild, so we have a place for the grandchild to play. As you can see, my wife is pretty enthusiastic with how she dressed that up. Today, the bike in question is the Viscount Aerospace. So this is kind of a unique bike, and that's the reason I have it. It has a little place in history. Now, Viscount bicycles were founded in the early 70s by a company called Lambert. And in 1978, Yamaha purchased them. And they were unique bikes. And the reason why, they had some unique features. First of all, they had some unique tubing. They called it aerospace tubing. And it's actually fairly light. It's a lugless frame, Philip raised. And it's straight gauge chromoly. You know, today it doesn't sound anything special, but this bicycle with clinchers and decent tires is about 21.5 pounds, which really isn't bad. And it was also available with sew-up tires that made it even lighter. Now, there's some pretty unique features about this. First of all, it's the components. Now, this is actually a crankset that they made themselves. This is not a name brand Shimano or Suntour or campagnolo or anything like that. It's a proprietary crankset. Now, what makes it kind of unique is the bottom bracket. There's no taper. It's you would say it's a four-sided taper, but it's not actually tapered. The bottom bracket itself has a cartridge bearing. Now, that's pretty unique. If you look closely, the spindle actually has like a lock ring, and it keeps it from sliding back and forth. And unfortunately, if you want to replace the crankset with something else, you really can't. It's a press-in bearing, it's not threaded, and you're stuck with it. Another unique feature is the brakes. These are actually proprietary brakes. They're not pretty. I mean, they look like someone tried to chisel them out with a chisel, but they tend to work okay. Now, this is a unique derailleur, a Thunderbird. It's by Shimano. And the rear derailleur is your Titleist by Shimano as well. Now, my understanding that they used other... wait a minute. Hold on. I got another one. Let's check this one out. There's a Suntour VX GT. Now, I don't know if that was stock either for its day. This one's got a little bit different front derailleur. Yep, don't ask me how I got two. Turns out the stem was proprietary as well. The handlebar is a no-name handlebar. They did make their own levers. Another feature was, supposedly, they made their own hubs. And if you look, they're sealed bearing hubs. Now, for its day, wow, that was a huge deal. Kind of cool. The rims themselves, what do they use here? I should look at this before I start my video, right? Are you guys familiar with these rims? Melrimo? I don't know. Never heard of them. One of the biggest unique features of this bicycle was the aluminum fork. Now, you did not see a lot of these in the 70s. There's a couple that were out there, but not many. Unfortunately, that was the demise of the company. They were defective. They were breaking, people were getting hurt, teeth are getting knocked out, and worse. But it was dubbed the Death Fork. There were 3 different versions of this fork, and the first 2 were very unsafe. Now, I believe this is the latest version, and here's how you could tell. A magnet sticks underneath. It's because the steer tube came all the way through on this one, and the fork, the fork is held together by the brake bolt. Sheldon Brown recommends that you don't ride any of the forks. However, there's other YouTubers and such that have and without problems. But I tell you what, at 240 pounds, I ain't gonna do it. I don't get a lot of grief on this channel, guys. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. You're pretty gracious with me. Where I don't get a lot of grace is a lot of people think that I shouldn't have this many bicycles. And, in a sense, I can see why. It's a lot, especially if I'm not riding them all. This one definitely is a wall hanger. And the reason why it's a wall hanger is technically it's unsafe. But it's part of history, and that's why I have it. I think it's kind of a neat bike just because of the death fork. Now here's a taller frame set. This one has the steel fork. This was switched out. Now my first experience with this was 1982. A customer came in. His name is James Wright. Why do I remember that guy's name? Well, it's a very sad story. He came into the shop one day and asked us if we could get the fork replacement from Yamaha. And believe it or not, we did. And we got the fork replaced. We called him up and said, hey, the death fork has been replaced. And sadly enough, he's like, yeah, that's not how I want to go out. Turns out only a couple days later, him and a lady friend were murdered, actually, by an off-duty police officer in Elgin, Illinois. And his name is James Wright. You could Google that. It's a very sad story. And at 16 years old, that was the first funeral I ever went to. But yeah, that's why I remember the death fork, just from that incident. Kind of strange, huh? I don't ever usually sell anything on this channel, but this particular bike has to go, either as a full bicycle or I'll be willing to sell parts because they're hard to find. The wheel set I'd be willing to sell. All the bottom bracket parts. Now, I'm not sure if I know how to pull out those bearings, but I'll sell those. And of course, the Viscount brakes. And I really wanted to go to someone with a Viscount. If you're buying parts, because that's what they're meant for. If you want the whole bike, just put it in the comment section below. Once again, guys, thanks so much for watching the channel. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share it with any forums that you're in. If you find these at all interesting. If you don't find them interesting, that's okay too. Just don't tell anybody. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next video. So what do we have left here? We have a 73 Orange World Voyager in almost perfect shape. 24-inch frame Viscount. We got this AMF. Adios, mother. Anyways, this is it used to be Mark Gorski's frame, and we're trying to figure out what to do with it. This thing here I'm selling locally. We bought it for a friend that no longer hangs with us. Got a bunch of wheels. Got a Specialized Cirrus, kind of fun. It's like an 87, built with some superb Diacomp, etc. This is a Schwinn Super Sport that I turned into a upright tourist style bike, if you would. And a Raleigh from 1970, a Superb. Some of you guys know the Raleigh Superb is a Suntour Superb bike, and it is. Before that, it was a 3-speed. That's about it, guys. Check out my other videos. Thanks.